Great shot. Great shot. Defends the objective.
Don't look at me, look to God, look within. Don't look at you, look deeper, look again. But look at me, look not again. Gotta cringe, stop the trend, listen, this has gotta end. Living in insanity. Addicted to attention, not to mention glitzy vanity. You kill your family, then continue rambling. Look at me, looking crazy, scrambling. For attention, this tension for some fame. It's really silly and lame, insane, it's such a shame. This game's gotta change, this thing is getting strange. Attention psycho clowns, this bang to stain your brain. This here an exorcism, precision lyricism, clear your ear and listen, clearer vision in your mirror, giving spiritism, living in your hearing and appearing different. Look at me, even weirder here for instance. Come with me, you will see, let's play. Look around, look crazy, look at me, look around, look crazy, look at me, look around, look crazy, look at me, look around, look crazy, look around, look crazy, look around, look crazy, look at me, look around, look crazy, look at me.
My chopper pop up like a rocket with unstoppable pace. Enamored look is the expression on my chocolate face. Cause my optic binoculars can spot impossible fate. My mantra is vanity is not a popular trait. You wasting my time like I got a lot to just say. Look at me, it's like it's opposite day. GHB, we'll stop and just pray. We God's predator pack that'll flock to its prey. You a mockery, we all got a part we should play. I'm here to put the truth on you like a topical spray. You out of pocket with the ego, it's an awkward display. Power blossoms like a flower, but it's not a bouquet. If I was you, I would choose the proper hour today and beg the Lord to guide you straight so you don't follow astray. God's apostles will inoculate your body with grace. You'll have immunity from devils trying to find you with haste.
Look around, look crazy, look at me, 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 look crazy, look around, look crazy, look at me, look around, look crazy, look around, look crazy, look at me.
Attention, gather round the sound, I got something to mention. Infinite alternate dimension, outside the firmament, we're being fenced in. Psycho attention, clowns like a succubus. Circus freak show freaks paid to fuck with us. Suck your attention, stopping your ascension. Cut by demons, stuck in this dimension. Look at me, they will say. Come with me, you will see, let's play. Sell your soul, that's the goal, let's go. But don't do it, you're better off broke than a rich kid boy Satan stepping on your throat. Maintain your sovereignty forever. Never consent to groupthink or pressure to lose yourself and become a jester. Come with me, you will see, let's play.
That restaurant was great.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
Is that where you take all your first dates?
Maybe.
Oh! That girl almost hit me.
Random drivers.
Uh-oh. He said something sexist about a woman. You see, this is considered a bad thing. Notice how the music stopped and she gives him that look of death as soon as he said that.
Introducing the highly maneuverable Mercury Man.
And of course, she kicks him out in the rain and he's called the not-so-intelligent date. Any sexist remark against women is seen as just that, sexism. And that man deserved to get kicked out for what he said. But despite what he said, this commercial is misandric. As you can see, the man is the bad guy here because sexism against women is viewed as a bad thing. But if there's a commercial with a woman who says something sexist about men, do people consider that to be bad? Nope, it's supposed to be funny. This only perpetuates the false idea that only men can be sexist. If a man criticizes a woman on her driving skills, we consider that sexist. But what about commercials like this?
Sprooks, Superior shoes for the superior sex.
You can call women the superior sex as she places her foot on top of a man, and it's just business as usual, right? In just about every commercial you see nowadays, women are portrayed as the superior sex and nobody bats an eyelash. They're superior to men in video games.
Man, these guys online are insane. Oh, come on. I had that.
Come on, Mario. Dude, they must play every single day.
Gotta be IT guys.
Oh, yeah. Got the tail. Got the tail. Come on. Come on.
Who are these guys?
Who are these guys?
Who are these guys?
We just said that.
この子たち勝たせてあげようか。やだよ。
Yeah, these grown-ass men who look like they're in their late 20s are getting their asses handed to them by a couple of 12-year-old girls. And get a load of this one.
I just ring this little bell. Ta-da! This is Albert, my manservant. Now we have more time for me and my filly. Albert, darling, I'm sending this back. You're a little stingy on the filly.
Only Philadelphia cream cheese is a little taste of heaven.
Oh, you can be replaced, you know.
Yeah, these manservants are a dime a dozen, and they can be replaced in an instant. If a commercial existed where the genders are reversed, we'd most likely see the woman push the man off the cloud and say, "No, you can be replaced. That's what you get for treating me like a slave." But in this commercial, the man just takes it. He doesn't even utter one word. He's just a member of the inferior sex and doesn't have a say in anything. He's probably just lucky enough to eat the crumbs from the bagel he just served her. But commercials like these are just your typical advertisements. So here we have a commercial where we see the superior woman in the forefront while the inferior man is sitting off in the background over there grinning like an idiot.
I just moved, started a new job, and I needed a dentist. So I asked my cube mate if he knew of a good one. Tell them what you told me?
Yeah, look at the way she commands him. He speaks only when she wants him to.
I said I don't know a good dentist, but I do know a place to score free batteries.
Of course that stupid man couldn't be of any help, and had to say something idiotic.
I called 1-800-DENTIST. They were very professional. The guy on the phone found me a dentist that took my insurance, and he even booked the appointment for me.
The supply closet.
Did I say you could talk? Look at her face. She's like, oh God, why do I have to work with this putz every day? Meanwhile, he's still grinning like an idiot back there.
If this is the speed of the iPhone 4S on AT&T, what does 4G speed on T-Mobile look like? Want to see it again?
So the man is the one with the slow bike while the woman is the fast one leaving him in the dust. Anyone surprised? Society would call this sexist if they did a role reversal. It's very common to see a man be the fat, out-of-shape slob while the woman is the more physically fit. Here's one from Walmart. You know, that company where they only show women working there for some reason.
Oh, we're getting back in shape. Oh, try these. Yes.
I sprinted here.
Wow, from your house?
From the car.
So they're getting back in shape, but obviously she can handle it, while the man struggles to breathe from running from his car to the store. And speaking of running, check out this commercial for Nike.
You're so far away.
You're so far away.
Ain't got too much pride.
Want you back by my side.
Well, baby, I want that too.
Baby, I would run to you.
I would run to you.
And I would run to you.
First time you talked to me,
I knew we were meant to be.
When we finally embraced,
baby, I can't keep this pace.
I love you there, I said it.
I think I'm gonna need a medic.
Fill the hall with flower petals.
Why does my mouth taste like metal?
Baby, I might die without you.
Baby, I might die.
And of course they look at him like he's a weirdo.
I would run to you.
I'm not as strong as you.
I would run to you.
made a pool of my own vomit.
Love is a perfect vision.
This was such a bad decision.
Love makes everything serene.
Give me all your morphine!
Baby, I know we said we'd run across the country to be together, but I thought we were being symbolic. Why can't we fly and meet somewhere in the middle? Like Kansas City. It's the Paris of the plains!
I love you so much that I would run to you.
You would run to me? You would run to me?
Baby, I love you so much that I would run to you. I would run to you.
Yeah, so she can run the whole way without a problem. She doesn't need a rest, she doesn't break a sweat, she doesn't lose her breath. But this man, on the other hand, pukes, sweats buckets, and winds up in the hospital. This next commercial is for Crystal Light.
What is that?
New Crystal Light Energy. For women?
Oh, right. Because we can't handle a guy's energy drink. How do you plan to keep up drinking that girly? Hey!
So the robbers, who are male of course, take her friend's bag and ride away with it. But she chases after them like she's the T-1000 from Terminator 2. Well, now they're shit out of luck. And of course they scamper away.
Girl power to go.
Yeah, girl power. Nothing sexist about that.
You never know.
Ma'am, I'll take it from here.
Thanks.
See where they went?
Then a male police officer comes by, but he's useless, as all men are apparently, because she already took care of things herself. She's so superior that she's not even out of breath, nor does she ask the police officer for a ride back to her friend. She could just walk from here, no sweat. You know, if women and men were really like this in general, then I would think that if anything, women would be held to higher standards on the fitness tests to become police officers and firefighters, not the other way around like it is now. It's amazing how women are portrayed as being so superior to men, yet they are also portrayed as victims to these bad men who are supposed to be inferior. It's like, yeah, we can kick a man's ass if we want to. Us women are so superior to men. And yet, women are also portrayed as the victims, and men are these evil and untrustworthy people who you should steer clear from. Just look at any commercial for a security system. The thieves and criminals are always played by men. I've yet to see a commercial where they show a female criminal. Have a look.
Have a good day.
Okay, how about some lunch?
You hungry?
Yeah.
Me too.
Okay, bye, sweetie. We'll be back at 11:30.
Okay, gotta go. I'll be late.
What'd you forget now?
It's about time she got home.
I'm coming. Forget your key?
Mom?
You're home. When did you get?
Okay, I'll talk to you later. Bye.
First dates are brutal. What am I going to wear?
Oh, no, he's early? Oh, no. Oh, no!
It gets even worse. They even portray men that the women actually know as criminals. Yeah, you think you know this guy? Think again.
I had a great time.
Me too.
You know, I just got out of a bad relationship.
It's okay.
Thanks. Good night.
Good night.
It was really nice to meet you, AJ.
Yeah, you too.
AJ?
Here's another one.
Did you hear that?
And this time, a woman is with a man who I assume is her husband. But I don't know. After seeing these commercials, I have second thoughts. He's probably gonna rob her later or something.
It's our first night in the new house. Do you want me to check?
Okay.
Without hesitation, she says, okay. Yeah, to hell with your life. Yeah, you risk your life. As long as I'm okay, who gives a crap about you? Of course the man is the one to investigate the strange noise and risk his life. I'd love to see a woman do that for once instead of the man.
I saw a guy trying to break in.
Let's look at one more.
It's your turn, please.
Alright. I know, baby. Come on. Yeah.
Where's the baby?
So the man is trying to take care of the baby, but when he heats up the bottle, it catches on fire. Not only are white men portrayed as criminals and inferior creatures, but they're also portrayed as total screw-ups. It's commercials like these that help push the false idea that women are superior beings and men are the inferior evil people, and you can't even trust the ones you know. And did you notice how all the criminals were not only male, but white males? Just saying. Welcome to part 12. In this installment, we'll be focusing on two specific products, Doritos and Pepsi. Yeah, two more items I'm adding to my boycott list. In Misandry In The Media Part 4, I showed one Doritos commercial portraying a man as an idiot. Yeah, the one where the man is taunting the dog and the woman is the voice of reason. Well, one commercial where a man acts like a moron and gets hurt because of his stupidity apparently isn't enough. Here are some more Doritos commercials just like this one. Now, these commercials were made for the Crash the Super Bowl contest, but they all share a common element of misandry. Speaking of dogs, check out this commercial.
Hey dog, anti-bark collar. You want a Dorito, you gotta speak. Speak. Oh, come on. What?
Do you think the man is smart enough to take the collar off? Of course not. He's a man. We all know men are dumber than dogs. Here's one where a man comes home and sets up a mousetrap and uses a Doritos crumb as bait. But watch what happens when he eats some. Yeah, more violence against the man. In fact, there are quite a few other Doritos commercials that portray violence against men in a positive light.
Promotion? Not in your future.
Who's got the Doritos now? What? Who? Me?
We also have plenty of Doritos commercials that make men look like complete immature dumbasses. They act like children and end up making complete fools of themselves. Here's another Doritos commercial where a man comes over for a date. Take a look.
Thank you, they're beautiful.
They're so beautiful.
Don't mind my roommate.
Boyfriend.
Ex-boyfriend who's moving out next week. I'll be ready in a sec.
Big date, huh? You.
Okay, I'm ready.
And of course, the woman catches them in the act. But they don't care and continue to eat off the dog anyway. And they are both kicked out and she takes the Doritos back because men just can't be trusted with them. Can you imagine a commercial with a woman coming over and giving the man some flowers, then she fights with another woman over the Doritos and ends up eating them off a dog, then the man catches them in the act and kicks them out? Many people would think that would be sexist, but not this. How can this be sexist? This must be how men behave in real life, right? In this one, we have a guy who looks a lot like Serge Tankian eating Doritos in front of his dog. You know, dogs appear quite a bit in these commercials, as if to say there's a close association between men and dogs. So the dog bites his finger off. Well, I'm so glad we can laugh at that. But he doesn't care. He just licks his other fingers. Problem solved. Can you imagine if that had been a woman instead? Dog biting a woman's finger? How awful! This is not a joke. This is promoting violence against women. But a dog biting a man's finger? Oh, ha ha ha! That's just a funny joke. Lighten up.
Hey, are you gonna finish those? Sorry, they're already gone.
No, they're not. You left the best part.
No, I'm pretty sure they're...
Cheese. I love Doritos. Doritos!
So apparently men are just slobs. Some will lick Doritos off someone else's finger, and then you have some who will wipe it on their clothes and not use a napkin.
What's up with Gary? Every time he craves Doritos, he turns into a bird of prey. Really? A bird? Oh, watch this.
Did you notice the woman on the bench eating Doritos? Ah, for once we see a woman eating Doritos. But unlike men, she's being civilized. She's not wiping it on her clothes. She's not awkwardly licking other people's fingers. She's not eating them off a dog. She has all her fingers intact. She's not fighting with another woman over them. She's not going ballistic over them. She's not talking with her mouth full of Doritos. She's just eating them the proper way, unlike the men do. So yeah, women do eat Doritos too, but they don't have to eat them off a dog. They can get their Doritos in other ways, like taking them from a man.
Is everything all right?
I think so.
Great, 'cause I love Doritos.
What?
This next one is annoying on so many levels. Jeez, give him some breathing room. Back off! Why is she all up in his face for? Okay, does she have to eat these chips 2 inches away from his face? Who does that? I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't want anybody crunching in front of my face. Dude, what the fuck? Oh no! Of course she sees all this, and do you know what happens next? She throws the drinks on him, and just before the commercial ends, we see him chasing after her to explain and apologize. Surprise, surprise. This is yet another commercial where we have a man fawning over a woman. I'd like to see a role reversal once in a while. How about we see a man throwing drinks at a woman because another man ate chips ridiculously close to her face? Look at the dumb expressions on the men's faces in this commercial.
What could be better than this?
What could be better than this? Of course he fantasizes about a woman, because that's all men ever think about, right?
Dorito?
Dude, what are you doing?
Why can't we ever see commercials like these where the genders are reversed?
hard to recover from that one, Bob.
Then we have this Doritos commercial with this guy who looks like the amazing atheist. Yet another commercial with the man who acts like a child.
Okay. Honey.
Yep.
Now blow them out and all your wishes will come true.
All your wishes? Whoops! Let's open some presents! A robot best friend!
And the fireman's ball!
This one's from Mommy.
This next one just completely speaks for itself. I cannot possibly imagine a commercial where it's a woman instead of a man. So in all these commercials, we had violence against men and men acting stupid and immature. Yet at the same time, this product seems to be targeting mainly to men. So if the target audience is women, expect misandry. If the target audience is men, expect misandry. The rest of these commercials are for Pepsi Max. Just like in the Doritos commercials, the men are stupid and violence against them is supposed to be funny. Here's one with a man and a woman on a date.
I wonder how much money he makes. I wonder if he loves his mother. I wonder if he'll lose his hair. I wonder if he wants kids. I wonder if he's the one.
I want to sleep with her, 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 I want to sleep with her.
Okay, notice how the woman is thinking about many things and her facial expressions keep changing, whereas the man only thinks the same thought over and over again, and he keeps the same expression on his face the entire time. Because all men only ever think about is this one thing. But not only is this commercial implying that men have a one-track mind, but it's also implying that men are selfish. All he ever thinks about is himself and what he wants, whereas the woman is wondering about him. So this commercial is implying that men are selfish and have a one-track mind, whereas women are concerned about other people and are not so narrow-minded.
I want a Pepsi Max, I want a Pepsi Max, I want a Pepsi Max.
Not a chance.
Damn! Wait, for which one?
Yeah, and men are easily distracted too. As soon as you dangle a Pepsi Max in front of his face, his focus switches to that, and now he's constantly thinking about that Pepsi. A role reversal here would be considered offensive. Imagine a commercial where a man is wondering about his date, and all she's thinking is, I want to sleep with him, I want to sleep with him, I want to sleep with him, and then the man thinks, not a chance. I'd love to see that once in a while. It would be a nice change of pace. Here's one where we have a woman walking into an elevator and it creates awkward situations for this man. Check it out.
I like to buy in bulk.
What's that smell?
What smell?
Yeah, and men smell too. Just find more ways to insult men, why don't you?
Can I have one?
Yeah. 0 calories.
What are you trying to say?
Oh, no, you're not fat.
Ah, so she gives him the time of day when she wants something from him. Anyway, imagine a role reversal. I mean, can you imagine a man walking into an elevator and asks, what's that smell? And then the woman awkwardly responds with, what smell? Nah, unthinkable. Only men smell. We all know that. These next Pepsi commercials portray violence against men in a positive light. When you watch these commercials, try to imagine a role reversal. If the sexes were reversed, these commercials would get banned faster than you can say misandry.
What's up, ladies? Can I get some love? Oh, sweet mother!
I'm good. Be honest here, I mean. Ah, fuck it.
I'm good.
My bad. I'm good. I'm good. Ready? Go!
Oh! Ah! Stop punching me! Please! No! Don't throw me!
Not the fish.
Don't touch me! Keep your hands off of me! Don't throw me out!
And I'll have the french fry as I have me in the fruit cup.
It's not really that funny.
It's funny?
No, it's childish and immature.
What does that mean? You find that funny?
Sorry.
Justin?
Hey, Tony!
Every sip gets you closer to Justin Timberlake MP3s.
Hey.
Hey to you. HD TVs.
Dad.
We had 1 foot in, but we got pushed in.
Hello, everyone. It is I, Lamprey Milt, hot off a community strike, thanks to I am talking about the Fauci elixir. Tonight, I got a very special guest. You may know him as the Ignored Gendered or his famous MGTOW uploads of Misandry in the Media. Vinny, absolute pleasure, man. Thanks for spending some time with me tonight.
Thank you, sir, and thank you for having me on today.
So listen, Vinny, I watched some of your content maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. Fantastic. And one of the things that I love about it, and I've already mentioned this to you in the past, your aggression, your anger, like this attitude of who the fuck do they think they are putting this in commercials. And I'm going to share a quick story about that. And I've mentioned this also on past live streams. I remember getting into a fight with my brother. I was like 19 and he was like 17 at the time. We got into a fight over refrigerated pizza leftovers. So there's a bunch of pizzas left over in the fridge. And there was like maybe like 3 slices and he ate 2 and we got into a huge fist fight over it. And, you live with your brother. So hours passed by and it was like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning and we're burnt from smoking weed or whatever. And I sit down next to him. Commercial comes on and it's a Taco Bell commercial. And the Taco Bell commercial was all about partying. Make it a fiesta night, Taco Bell. Like this diverse cast of, young people having a great time. Someone shows up with the bags of, Taco Bell and, everyone's like, yeah, tacos are here. And so the bistro lights and drinks all around and, it's just party atmosphere over Taco Bell. My brother goes ballistic and he's going ballistic because he's still mad at me about the fight we had a few hours prior over pizza, but he took his aggression out on this commercial saying, who the fuck is partying over Taco Bell? Where are these parties? And he's looking at me. Have you ever been invited to a party like that? No, I've never been to a party over Taco Bell. He's like, exactly. None of this is real. No one's partying like this. There's nothing that there's no one getting together at a house party having a good time like this. And that kind of resonated with me because it reminded me a lot of the takes that you've done on all this misandry in the media where none of this is real. Like we see these images on television, but it's not reality.
Exactly. I mean, I guess some people take their Taco Bell a little too seriously, I guess. What can I say? But no, yeah, you're right. The thing is, though, what started me in my commercials, or what really bothered me about it, was because I just kept seeing the same thing over and over again. And, it bugged me mainly because I wasn't really seeing it go the other way around. So I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to hop on YouTube and just go on and rant. And at the time I was a fan of the Angry Video Game Nerd. So I thought, why not just, make videos about this and, do it in that style. And, what could be the harm? I'll upload a few videos, get a few things off my chest, have some fun with it. And that's what I did. And sort of that's my YouTube story.
How did you find so many of those videos? You must have done a lot of research to find so many of them.
Well, it was actually, it's the easiest research in the world because pretty much there's a TV like everywhere you go. So you could be in a restaurant, there'll be like a TV on, and I can't help but look up and sure enough, I'll see an ad where maybe a woman is punching a man in the face or whatever, and
kick him in the ball,
pointing and laughing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they kick him in the family jewels and what have you. And you go to the doctor's office, you have a dentist appointment. Sure enough, there's a TV in the waiting room. So media is just about everywhere you go. Ads will play on YouTube. So it is not a struggle to find content. Not to mention how ubiquitous misandry is in the media. Oh man, there's a whole plethora of material that I could work with. So
are you still doing any of these Misandry in the Media? I know you haven't uploaded in a long time, but you've hinted on a couple of live streams you plan on getting that started again.
Oh yeah, for sure. I uploaded one just a few weeks back. That was part 28. And I'm trying to see, I think that's pretty much all I have. I think I might have a backlog of some commercials that I still have yet to cover, but I know that the Super Bowl is coming up, and I would imagine there's going to be plenty of material to work with there. So
now, mind you, when you uploaded these, it's going on 10 years now, when you first started uploading these Misandry in the Media vignettes, let's call them the vignettes. Have you noticed a increase in Misandry in the Media? I know there's a lot more of the social justice and wokeism. Everything's paused now. But what do you see since the coof? Do you see a ratcheting up of Misandry, or is it kind of diminishing?
I feel like me personally, it seems like it's dialed down somewhat in favor of the transgender community. Everywhere I turn now, it's drag queen this, drag queen that. So I feel like that's happening a little bit more. I think that's sort of taking the place of Misandry in the Media a little bit. So I'd be willing to bet that there's going to be a lot of Super Bowl commercials that deal with that more so than showing men play the fool. Although I don't doubt that there will be some good shining gems for my series nonetheless. So
you have to be pretty fucking red pilled to look up at a television in a dentist office and be like, yep, here we go. Guy's going to get his balls kicked in the family jewels. She's going to walk away in disgust. And, so you have to view things with not such rosy colored glasses on. So I give you mad props to be able to spot things like that. And I was with like my dad, and we were actually watching football, and I was able to tell him exactly what was going to happen in the commercial before the commercial was over. And I don't necessarily know if it was in the same vein as like Misandry, but my father was like, my God, how the hell did you see that? And he goes, well, when you take the red pill and you don't see things for what they could be, but for what they are, you start to kind of, I guess, like you can't ignore it anymore. You see what I'm saying? Like once you start seeing these things, it's very hard to unsee these things. I always punt the question, is there anything that that you wish you hadn't have known? And everyone I ask that question, they're like, no, of course not. Like, I'm happy to know what I've learned. And for a lot of the normies, they rather remain ignorant towards the things that are around them, such as Misandry in the Media, Misandry in music. a Misandry in movies. It's kind of just everywhere. It's totally okay to put guys down and make them look like an absolute idiot. I think you mentioned on one of your uploads about Everybody Loves Raymond and King of Queens. Like Kevin James is supposed to be this overweight, kind of this clown. Everyone's laughing at him, and his wife is beautiful, and she's kind of actually, speaking of that, if you actually watch King of Queens, the first 3 seasons, she was far more empathetic, compassionate, more of someone that was there to support her husband. And as the seasons went on, you saw Carrie, that was her name, become more and more and more aggressive. And towards the last season, she just is like a miserable wench, making Kevin James, Doug's life miserable. He's hiding from her. He's doing things without her knowing. I remember this one episode where he rented out this studio apartment above a Chinese restaurant. He was able to rent this place out as long as he did deliveries for the Chinese restaurant. And then she found out about it. And, she was like, furious that he had this secret hangout that she wasn't privy to or wasn't aware. And he had to, like, again, justify, like kind of explain, like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. It's just a place where the guys can hang out. And then there's Everybody Loves Raymond, where, Raymond, he's, he works in this field of sports, and you don't necessarily see him work. And again, it's him acting like a clown. He's whiny. He's like, oh, why do we gotta do this? And blah, blah, blah. And she's kind of like the wife. I think her name's Deborah. I think that might be her real name. Anyway, in any event, she's just overly aggressive. Always questioning him, always putting him down, very condescending. And you see this through time immemorial for, I guess, the past 40 years in television, especially with sitcoms.
Oh, for sure. I memean, yeah, you're absolutely right. And that's one of the reasons why, I stopped watching TV, because it's so predictable. And it's like you said, when you see it, you can't unsee it. And I've noticed this stuff growing up too. And, when I was a kid, I loved TGIF and, watching, shows like Step by Step and Family Matters and all that good stuff. And I would notice it there too. It's just crazy because, even back then, I noticed it and it bothered me back then, but, I felt like I was the only one to realize that. And we call it taking the red pill now. But to me back then, I just saw it as obvious. And I'm like, how is it on earth that I'm the only one who's noticing what's right in front of my face? This is insane. So, that definitely explains the rage. It's like, I had this knowledge bottled up and it's like, all right, listen, this is right in front of your face. I'm going to spell it out for you since you guys can't see it on your own. So look what's happening here. Look what's happening there. Am I showing you enough examples? Here it is, clear as crystal, black and white, and I'm being like Willy Wonka here at the end of the movie. But yeah, that's really how I felt about it. So
it's funny you mentioned Family Matters, and that's probably one of the first TV shows that I can remember in my early childhood. And I remember, I'm like 3, 4, 5 years old. And I used to call it Urkel because I loved Urkel. I didn't necessarily know the show's name was Family Matters. I would always just watch it because I want to see Urkel. But I remember the father, that fat black guy who was a cop, he would just get abused to no fucking end. And even when I was like 4 years old, I felt so bad for him. Like, that he's a dad. He's working really hard. He's a cop. I knew what a cop was at 4. I had my shit together at 4, if you can believe it. And I remember like feeling so bad for him because no matter what, he was always angry. Something bad would happen to him emotionally or physically.
Oh yeah, and I always remember very specifically at the beginning of just about every episode, you always see Carl and Steve is bound to mess something up as you know, and Carl is like getting in car accidents with Steve. He's getting like flour dumped all over him.
Right.
And I'm thinking like, where the hell is Harriet when this happens? Like, she's like never anywhere to be found. But Carl and Steve are just happen to be at the same place at the same time. What a coincidence.
Let me ask you, how now, digressing here off the media, well, not getting off the media, but how much do you think that's played into women's psychology with seeing images and characters like that on television?
I mean, honestly, I think with some people it might play into how they actually think we act. They expect men to be goofballs. Not everybody, of course, but I feel like it's so pervasive that, it can get into your head like that.
Yeah, 100%. And now you're seeing with the whole, I guess, the social engineering, the lurch towards more social justice, more wokeism, the total inversion of the genders and sexes. You start to see how many people are kind of, malleable towards the culture at large. So if someone grew up in a broken home, they may have listened to like rap music. It was like, I think like for our generation, there was I remember in high school, everyone was listening to like rap music, 50 Cent, Eminem was just played everywhere. And so many young people started identifying with rap music. So a lot of my friends would be wearing like G-Unit clothes and talking like they're gangsters and stuff when they grew up in a relatively nice neighborhood and they come from stable backgrounds and such. But you can see how maybe someone that came from a broken home or relatively poor, and they're kind of just consuming this type of media, and how much it would start changing their psychology and moving further and further away from what it was that they were grown up in.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, and actually to play on to that point, I was thinking about, how we're talking about how what you see kind of gets ingrained in your psychology. I feel that might happen with porn sometimes, even. Not to digress too far, but
go on.
But I feel like when some people view a lot of that stuff, they think that that's how sex should be, or that how it really plays out for a lot of people, when it's really just fantasy. And it could be a dangerous thing if you kind of consume too much of the same kind of content. That kind of could very well psychologically damage you.
Well, it's funny you bring up the pornography, since we're all kind of living this bug man lifestyle and not interacting with the opposite sex. The only form of satisfaction guys are receiving is, again, masturbating towards images of women that they don't know, who are getting railed out by Chad and Tyrone, and I don't even remember how I learned about sex. And I think for the most part, it was probably through pornography. And I've interviewed quite a few incel guys or incel content creators, and they're all like in their early 20s. And, they got a lot of aggression, pent up anxiety, pent up aggression. And they don't necessarily interact with the opposite sex. And the only time they engage with the opposite sex is through something like Snapchat premiums and OnlyFans and, Instagram messages and so on and so forth. So yeah, I can see that being a problem. And then the elephant in the room is that the older generation, the baby boomers, kind of let go of the steering wheel and was like, you'll figure it out. Like in the past hundreds of years, your elders kind of set you up with the girl next door, or someone that went to church, or someone that they knew, like a coworker's daughter or father, or the coworker's daughter or son. That would be kind of the gateway. Like, why don't you go and speak to them? Why don't you exchange phone numbers and go on a date? Or in like Southeast Asia, there would be chaperones. So like if I wanted to date like a non-bar girl in Cambodia, her brother or father would be there kind of like sitting in the corner, making sure nothing goes sideways, you know?
Yeah. Those sound like good times, the good old days.
Yeah, days that we never experienced, right?
Yeah, I mean, maybe they were like that when we were very, very young, but once we got to the age where we could actually do something about it, it's that's when times changed, and the internet came onto the scene, and dating apps were a thing, and before you knew it, an amalgamation of all kinds of things happened. We had feminism saying men and women are the same, and sex is the same for both of them, and it's clearly not. Men and women, of course, look at sex differently. And then you have dating apps, and then you have the law of supply and demand going on with the bajillions of guys that are on Tinder, and maybe a handful of women, and you take all these ingredients and put them all together, not to mention the simps that are inflating the women's egos. And here we have the state of things the way they are today. And and another thing that we have is fat acceptance. So even the bottom of the barrel women are expecting guys who are above average. And the sad thing is they're going to get those kinds of guys because the thirst is real, apparently.
Well, it's global now. And I think that's playing into a lot of the societal problems we're having. So I was talking to some girl from the Dominican Republic. I met her in the Bronx, and I don't have an Instagram. And my best friend found her Instagram, and she's got like Hindu writing, like Sanskrit written on her Instagram. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit on your Instagram? And I'm like, are all the guys following you from India? And she's like, see, I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me right now. So like these women who would be average at best in their, their own little area, like their own village or town or city or whatever, someone from another country is going to view her as the most beautiful thing on planet Earth. Mm-hmm. So she has access to the globe now. And that feeds into the general hedonistic and narcissistic attitudes that we see prevailing in the United States.
Yeah, it's sad times, absolutely. So yeah, that's why it's just not worth it. Juice is definitely not worth the squeeze.
Well, going back to the whole boomer thing is like they let go of the steering wheel when they were supposed to really guide their children and their next of kin and their neighbors to a lesser extent. They generally, I think, felt uncomfortable explaining what sex is. And that was kind of the vibe I got from like my friends' fathers, even my dad or my mom. Like they just didn't want to necessarily have that conversation. And since they weren't having that conversation, the pornography filled the void, Hollywood movies filled that void, and also music filled that void. And with the music side of things, a buddy of mine, Andy Nowicki, who's been on the show numerous times, he's mentioned like who's that guy that married that Thai woman, John Legend. He's talking about John Legend's songs. Girl, you're so beautiful. How can I live without you? It's like this swooning and synth beta fucking attitude about, it's really just like what was vomit inducing. And then you look at what female artists are putting out. My pussy this, my genitalia up in your shit and damn. It's like, wow, we're getting like two total different spectrums here where there's this aggression, this like almost masculine attitudes, psychopathic, conveying psychopathy and low empathy coming from the female artist. Yet the male artist, it's, heartbreak, emo. I'm gonna kill myself. I love you. My lipstick is running. It's like, oh, what the? It's like, what the hell happened, man?
Oh no, it was like that, as for as long as I can remember. I mean, you'll listen to like, female artists and they're always like, I don't need no man, that's what their songs were about. It's like, you're no good, or you're so vain, or all this other stuff.
Scrub, remember the song Scrub from TLC?
Yeah. And then there was a counter to that song, the No Pigeons by I forgot who sang that.
No Pigeons. I never heard that.
Yeah, you gotta check that out. It was actually a response to No Scrubs.
Yeah, like the only female artist like the past 20 years that was kind of more of feminine, more about supporting a man was actually like Alicia Keys. And I think Alicia Keys is now hardcore militant black. Meanwhile, I think her father was Italian, and it's kind of weird how any person that's biracial, they automatically identify with being black, but that's neither here nor there. You could go back 40 years ago. The song My Best Friend's Girl by the Cars, where Rich Orzak, he's the rhythm guitarist and the main writer for most of the Cars songs. He married one of the most beautiful women in the world. It's a supermodel, and he passed away shortly after having heart surgery. And it turned out that he cut her out of the will. She wanted a divorce 2 years prior to his untimely death, and he wrote in the will, "You abandoned me. You're not getting a cent." And I thought, I know. I'm like, well, not for, I was like, tongue in cheek, I told my former co-host, I'm like, yeah, well, I don't know if you really want to fuck with the guy who wrote the song, My Best Friend's Girlfriend. Like, if you know that song, that's probably a guy you don't want to play with that guy's heart. And, they're married for like 35, 40 years. They have like 3 kids. And right before he dies, she divorces. And when he had the heart surgery, she comes out of nowhere, bringing him food, taking care of him, uploading selfies. Like, here I am, I'm taking care of him. I'm such a good wife. And meanwhile, like, wait a second, you're going through a divorce. Like, why would you, again, it's about her. Look how good of a person I am. You see what I'm doing? I'm taking care of my husband. Selfie, 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 right?
Oh yeah. And you know what? All this talk reminds me of that song. It's like, it goes, if you want to be happy for the rest of your life, never make a pretty woman your wife. Yeah.
It's a great song.
Yeah,
but she sure can't cook though. You know what I'm saying?
Damn straight.
I'm trying to, she actually just did an article, Rich Ozak. Let me pull this up here. Because she actually just put an article out, and someone had, Paulina Prozkova. Yeah, hold on. She just wrote an article, and she's almost 60. She's 56. And again, one of the most beautiful women, considered one of the most beautiful women ever. And she wrote an article about how guys don't find her attractive anymore at her age. I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, you're 56. Like, I'm actually going to try to pull that article up because it was just came out. Yeah, Paulina Prozkova responded to those saying she's invisible at 56. That's the article that came out. Wow, that's great. But, and here's the thing, it's a woman like that, 56-year-old, you're a mom, yet you're acting like you're 20. And so many moms are trying to, I guess, rekindle their youth or live vicariously through their daughters. It's really strange, man. Like, I'm blown away by like just how many older women just are not necessarily acting their age. It's like, and you can equate to this because me and you have a similar upbringing. Women past the age of like 45, 50, they would never have long hair. And 100, 150, 200 years ago, a woman past her, post-wall, society would see a woman with long hair and they would know she was kind of like a whore or a slut. I forgot what the terminology they used back in those days. It just slipped my mind, but it would be a sign to stay away from that. Oh, floozy. They would be called floozies. So you'd see like a 50-year-old woman with long hair past their shoulders, and guys would know to kind of like hit it and quit it. You wouldn't necessarily want to be dating that type of woman. And it will also be kind of like it's like quasi prostitute or something, you know. But you see a lot of women now past the age of 50 with hair long past their shoulders. You know, you don't see grandma with hair past her shoulders now, do you?
Exactly. Yeah, I never thought about it like that. I never really associated, you know, hair length with the age. And but now that I think about it, there is some truth to that. But yeah, I guess they really miss their validation. I guess when you've lived your teens and your 20s, you know, getting all this attention, and then hey, you hit the wall and you're no longer getting this attention, you're going to be like, what the hell happened? You know, what's going on here? So I mean, I bet that, you know, that's got to be a big part of it. I can only imagine what the other side, so to speak, feels on this. So
yeah, let me read some of what Paulina had uploaded. This is January 14th, by the way, so this is pretty new. Many people confuse my desire to shed a spotlight on our invisibility with spotlighting myself. Unfortunately, I cannot do one without the other. But the reality is that if I myself really wanted or needed to be visible, I have the means to turn back the clock and buy myself a permanent 39. Why don't I? Because I believe our aging faces and bodies are not caving ceilings that need to be fixed. It's only a different kind of beauty which is not quite accepted or seen. It's the lushness of summer heading into the color of explosion of the fall. It's a different kind of beauty. One should be celebrated and embraced for its change. We all have personal preferences for the seasons, but it doesn't negate the beauty of each. It's up to us, the sisterhood, to applaud one another until the rest catch up. So that's her little tirade that she went on, and from there, because again, she's someone who's famous, she got interviews with like Yahoo and USA Today, so on and so forth. But again, you know, this woman's a widow. She's 56. Okay, why can't you just bow out gracefully?
yeah, exactly.
Why do you have to still put on this whole, you know, this I guess selfishness, if you really boil it down to? Why don't you talk about your husband, how great he was, how amazing of a musician he was? She probably played a huge part in his work. You know, again, he wrote so many great songs. Who's going to drive you home tonight? Even though Benji Orr was the singer of that, but I'm quite certain Rich Orzak was the writer. Just someone else had sung it. But I remember my elementary school teacher. She was like 24, absolute knockout. And I found her email one way or another, you know, decades later. I reached out to her, and she emailed me back stating that my husband died. He dropped dead in front of me when I was having breakfast with him. And I remember her getting married and how excited she was. And I think he was like a Navy pilot or something. He looked like, you know, G.I. Joe. Was like really cool looking dude. Like, wow, he's, you know, I'm like, you know, I'm like 10 years old, and this guy's like 6 foot something with a, you know, he's got his Navy outfit on with his brass representing his rank. It's a long time ago, whatever. But I remember her getting married. I remember her changing her name from, you know, her family name to, you know, her maiden name. And she wrote back to me. It was kind of heartbreaking. Like, you know, my life's not the same. I can't. I'm paraphrasing. She'll never be able to go like on a date ever again. She's just so distraught and so heartbroken. Yet here we see this woman who's post-war. She's 60, 3 kids, and she's bitching and moaning that she's invisible to people.
Oh, what a complete narcissist. I mean,
it's disappointing, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, I know. That reminds me of, you know, your typical like Tinder profile. It's not about, you know, It's not about what, she can do for somebody else, or, what she has to offer. It's all about, what can you do for her, and why aren't you accepting me for me? I mean, meanwhile, if it was the other way around, it's like, hey, if there's some, imperfection you don't like about the guy, it's like, what about his unique beauty, or, some crap like that. It's just.
Oh, by the way, she hashtagged gray pride.
Gray pride. Oh my God. Now I've heard of everything.
Oh man. So, okay, listen, you talked about a little bit about social media. We can get into that a little bit. So, this has been a bit of a hot topic, especially with guys in the manosphere. Obviously, with the ongoing scamdemic, has given rise to more and more people using dating apps. What's give me some information. What do you see? What are you thinking? Or where's this going? Like, let's hear it.
Like what do I think about dating apps, or just
yeah, what do you think, man? Because me and you are a little bit older, and I got a good chunk of young listeners, and that's all they know is dating apps. Like I was talking with someone today about how my eldest cousin matched with a guy on match.com. This is like back in 01, 02, and she brought this guy around to Christmas dinner, and we're all like poking fun at the two of them, like, yo, you guys can't find someone like in real life. You have to use websites to meet someone. And like my uncle's ripping on her, my grandfather's ripping on her. We're all like teasing and cracking jokes. But again, that was like 20 years ago, and here we are today where that's the norm.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. And I mean, dating apps are, I guess they're only good for certain people, so to speak, but I would highly suggest that men just get off of those things immediately, because I mean, for starters, men completely outnumber women. So supply and demand is definitely against guys for sure. And you have women's, hypergamy, where, of course, they're not gonna, settle for anybody who is equal to them in looks. They're gonna easily, jump for somebody who's much higher. And and of course, you have the feminism. Feminism played a big role in kind of the dating market that we have here, because it's feminism that was telling women that men and women are the same, and therefore sex should be treated the same way. So you see more women being promiscuous, which of course lowers her value, as it's a shitty lock if many keys can open it. And they're also told to never settle, which doesn't really make sense, because women don't need to settle for anybody. They have all these options. It's men who are tending to settle. I'm seeing like good looking guys settling for these trolls living under a bridge, and they're they could do a lot better.
It's something really that you get rolled back into the water by Greenpeace. These guys that are fairly good looking, have their shit together, are settling for a bloated sea manatee.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and it's insane. It's so funny because it's men who get flack for not wanting a woman who's like morbidly obese, and therefore we have the fat acceptance movement. Accept me for who I am. I'm a fat girl. I should be able to get a 10 chat. And it's like, no, what kind of deluded world are you living in? And it is just insane. And then there are simps out there, and simps are another huge thing. They're going to inflate the women's egos. So girls who were 6s and thought they could get 7s before now think they can get 9s now. Well,
they assume that they match with these guys that they can land them. That's the other thing, is that just because you match with a guy and you hooked up with a guy doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be in a committed long-term relationship with them. And that's also part and parcel why you're seeing women, all guys are like that. Well, no, just the ones that you're matching with and the ones you're dating and fucking. Right, there's a
Bingo.
nice guy right over there. Look, Poindexter in the corner. He's making 6 figures. He's saving money. I call it Poindexter's revenge. So this guy, he's got his shit together. He doesn't do drugs. He's not covered in born and loose tattoos, and he's saving his money for when he's much older. No. Fuck, I don't want that. I want the guy who's selling crack
Coming out
and
of jail.
carries a Glock in his glove box.
Yeah, I mean they swoon over the guy who just got out of jail for murder. It's who is that who is that criminal that like was a good looking? It's Jeremy Meeks or something.
Jeremy Meeks. Yep.
Yeah.
Who wound up dating a woman who's worth millions. Think he had a child with her, and he ran off to start banging some other models or some shit, if I recall.
Yep, that's how it is. That's how it is out there, gentlemen. So if you're thinking about downloading that Tinder app or going on Match.com, think again. So that's my word of advice.
Well, also what you're seeing is women that are on like more of the serious websites, like again Match, and to a lesser extent eHarmony. You're bumping into the wall hitters that have baby rabies.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. And there's a whole plethora of your single mothers out there too, who just, like you said, they want to rekindle their youth and what they had. But I miss how things used to be before, online dating and finding somebody you have common interests with. You go out there, you socialize, and if you meet somebody through some activity, you have some sort of common interest with them. But now it's like it's based purely on looks, which it's kind of sad. And of course you have these this blue pill information saying, well, if you just say the right profile, if you just say the right things, you have the right personality. But it's like, no, if you were Giga Chad, you could just say whatever the hell you want. You could insult her and she'll just give you your number like that. So, it's just, it's a rigged game.
So let me ask you something. How did you wind up getting into the manosphere? Not so much Misandry In The Media, but was there something that happened to you, like a first girlfriend? Like, how did you decide to start making manosphere, MGTOW related content?
Well, actually, it really did just start with commercials. I'll be honest, because watching TV. I mean, I loved TV as a kid, and that's when I noticed the double standards. And literally, if YouTube existed when I was in elementary school, I probably would have started a channel then. And this kind of thing kept on persisting. And then I started watching other content that was similar to mine, and that's I started watching Pine Grove and Rocky Mystery and other channels like that. And then I started getting more into politics and left-right issues and MGTOW and other aspects of men's issues that I never even thought about before. And it kind of grew from that, which is kind of cool.
That's really interesting. Now, like, what, like, has not to get into your own personal life, but like, have you experienced a lot of misandry from the opposite sex in your own walk of life?
Not personally. I did experience like some degree of sexism. I remember, I'm trying to think of like from the opposite sex, not really personally, but I do remember 6th grade where the teacher who was male would favor the girls. I think a girl in class drew a piece of paper and he made the boys write an essay about it to punish us. I don't know. It was really weird. But that was like in 6th grade. But I'm trying to think. And the only other thing I experienced was I was trying to get a full-time job at a community college.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, of course, I can't prove this one way or the other, but I have my suspicions. And of course, imagine what I'm saying with the situation flipped. I was trying to get a full-time job, and on the application, it said like women and minorities are encouraged to apply. And I've already been working for this college for 3 years. So I figured, hey, I'm already working here part-time. I'm going to try for a full-time position, see how it goes. And not only did I not get the job, but who they hired was a white woman and a black man. And the application did say women and minorities are encouraged to apply. And they were hired over somebody who's already been working there part-time. It smells a little fishy. Again, I can't prove anything one way or the other, but again, if the tables were turned and the application said white men are encouraged to apply, and some guy off the street, white man, got hired over a black guy or a woman who already was working there, I mean, you'd better believe that would be headline news. So
You should have told me you were espresso pilled.
What? Yeah, you said that before in my live stream.
Just espresso pill, Italian pilled. I saw some guy on Twitter. He's like some Italian MGTOW guy, and he's like hashtag espresso pilled. I'm like, I'm using that for any dude who's part of our tribe. But
cool.
Look, listen, I totally understand. I had something similar happen to me in a job interview in New York City a few years ago. This, again, beautiful HR woman comes into the conference room. We're having a good chat. Things were going fairly well. She was like, "Oh, let me get my employer in to meet you. I think you're a great match." And I saw the guy out of the corner of my eye. He like looked around the corner, looked at me, and then walked away. And then she walked out to go and speak to him. And then like the look on her face coming back into the room, she was like, "Oh, he's busy. He can't talk to you." I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, okay. Like, what's going on? Like, what happened? Like your whole demeanor completely changed in a snap within 45 seconds. Like, what just happened?" And the only thing I can equate it to is that they didn't want like a straight white dude for the position, because again, her attitude completely changed. I was a perfect fit for the job. Saw that guy in the corner of my eye, some Poindexter with glasses, and that was pretty much it. Like, I think that was like the only experience, at least in the United States, that I had felt that maybe just because of my I guess being straight and white Christian male is need not apply. But
sure.
Also, like, this is getting to a broader topic in discussion, is that if you're choosing people based on their minority status, or if they're part of the island of misfit toys, those people are not going to get the job done. So we're seeing this destruction of meritocracy, which has been under a full-blown attack for God knows how many decades. And you're promoting people just based on the way they look. I used to crack jokes long before I did live streams that the government's going to have some type of department to make sure that ugly people get jobs over good-looking people. And this kind of goes back to you're saying earlier about fat acceptance.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and it's like. Yeah, I wonder if like ex-cons are gonna get the next push or something. Like, you're ex.
He's stabbing me. No, those are stabs of love. What are you?
Yeah, you ever heard of tough love before? That's all this is.
Right. It's no longer about getting the job done. I have my one buddy. He works online, and like the HR feminist, it wants everyone to put their gender pronouns in their profile, and he just won't do it. Like, I'm not doing it. Like, this is ridiculous. I'm working online, and they had like some type of group conference, and they're just talking about everything but the job. And he like interrupted. It says, "Can we just go back to working?" Like, it's like, why are we talking about social and political issues in the workspace, in the workplace? Maybe it's because everything's been remote, so it's easier to have these conversations when there's you could be somewhat of a keyboard warrior. Like, are you going to actually have these conversations in person, which I'm sure there are in a lot of these publicly traded and companies that have like more than like 500 employees. But it's just weird that we're focusing on things other than work.
Oh yeah, I mean, have you ever watched Joshua Fluke's channel? Joshua Fluke's.
Oh, you're
YouTube
dropping a
channel?
lot of names on me tonight. I'm really psyched about looking into some of these content creators. Tell me a little bit about them.
Oh yeah, he's he's a really good one. He'll call out all companies who do all kinds of nefarious shit. So like there was one. I mean, he'll talk about discrimination and that kind of thing, but he'll talk about corporate cringe mostly. And one video he did recently was there was this person on LinkedIn who said, "Oh, I paid." I offered somebody a salary of 85,000 a year because that's what she offered, but the job was really worth 130,000. Let this be a lesson to you. Know your worth. And then Josh chewed her out and said, "Look, you don't get the difference. It's not like you get the money that you saved the company. You could have offered her $130,000." And it's just he is so good at calling out these companies and really telling it like it is and really being an advocate for the job searcher. So when we're talking about getting jobs and getting interviews, it kind of reminded me of his channel. So
Well, also like you're seeing people going to college that should never have been going to college in the first place. So like, college 50 years ago, we're throwing a lot of years around on this show tonight, but the Vietnam War kind of accelerated people that want to get into college because they didn't want to get drafted. And I think there's been such a heavy emphasis on higher education because boomer parents didn't want to explain to their extended family or their neighbors or whoever that their children are working like a dead-end job, meaningless job, or they were like, cutting hair or working for sanitation or being a police officer. They didn't necessarily want to explain that to people like, what's Bobby doing these days? Yeah, Bobby, he's a mechanic. Oh, he's a mechanic. Well, my son, he's traveling to China on a corporate marketing gig. Oh, my daughter, she's an intern at the, Environmental Protection Agency, and she's doing so well. Well, what's your daughter doing? She's a hairstylist at the street corner. Oh, well, anyway. So it just became like this game of one-upping the Joneses.
yeah, no, I mean, I totally agree with you. A lot of people kind of put like white collar work on a pedestal, and they kind of, wring their hands at blue collar work as if that's
union jobs. I think I wonder like how much has that played into the destruction. I wonder how much that has played into the destruction of union jobs. Just this idea, like this cutthroat white collar. He's more. He's nose to the grindstone. He's got to work for the CFO, and he's got to get that paperwork in. And like I saw like ads in New York City subways where it's kind of promoted this feminist corporate bullshit. You got this, girl. Okay, ducking out for lunch. No one will know. Shh, you got it. Like what the, like what the hell does that have to do with an ad, man? This reminds me of an article I had written, my first article in the American Sun. It titled "I want no part of it, New York, New York." How much there's such an emphasis on you get to move it, you get to push it. You see like ads on YouTube where it's always exercising. You're gonna bench it. You got this. Keep going. You got it. Just one more lift. Keep on. It's this constant like there's no like just relax, just chill, peace and love. Here, have a fucking blunt clip, have a fucking glass of wine. Watch a fucking movie and relax. There's none of that whatsoever you see with the prevailing culture. The prevailing culture is consume, work, keep going, like pushing your limits to the point of like physical exhaustion and perhaps hurting yourself. You see young women deadlifting. Like, what the fuck are you doing deadlifting? Like, and you see it on some of these profiles on like Tinder and Bumble. Like they're uploading videos of them doing squats. Like I don't want that. I don't. Please don't try to out squat me. Like, can you just like, make me a chicken palm hero and come and like watch a movie with me? Like, can we just do that? I remember like my ex-girlfriend, she's Cambodian. Like the one time she went to the gym and it was just her like taking photos. Look, I'm at the gym. I'm like, you ain't doing shit at the gym. And she's like laughing because I know. And of course she never went back to the gym. She just went that one time or whatever. But like, it was just weird that she was doing that because she had seen other women on social media going to the gym. Again, push, go, you got this. Like, and just the music in the gym is, again, my pussy this, my pussy that, where it's this hyper masculine, hyper aggressive, like prevailing culture that kind of just plays into a lot of corporate America. That was a long rant right there, but I wanted to get that off my chest.
Oh yeah, I hear you. And I don't think it's any life at all. Just like, slaving away, working for somebody else. I mean, I'm trying to get myself into a more entrepreneurial, make my own way kind of mindset. I mean, it's easier said than done, of course, but it's one of those things where you have to have kind of like a long-term mindset. I mean, it just can't happen overnight, but you can kind of build on it piece by piece, slowly but surely. So, I mean, just kind of deal with it for the time being, but maybe always have this, on the back burner or like, work on it piece by piece. And eventually you can, kind of make your own way doing something you really like to do, working for yourself. I feel like that's a much better life to live than to have to just, wake up same time, same day, and wasting, the vast majority of your life just sitting in a cubicle, staring at a computer screen. We were just not meant to live that way.
No, I totally get that, and I totally agree with you. I think a part of the problem, though, and I'm not shitting on what you're saying by stating this, but what you're trying to do, and I think what a lot of people are trying to do, is somewhat wall themselves off from the outside world. So if you have an ability to remain independent from the system, that seems much more appealing than working some type of 9-to-5, paper pusher, being part of a laptop class. Like, that just isn't necessarily as appealing as it once was. But since the coof, the scamdemic, and people getting the Fauci elixir, that seems to be much more. It's going to be much harder to attain that type of independent lifestyle or developing some type of independent, small business. I do think living in certain regions in the United States, it's much easier to do something like that. If you live in like the Northeast or in California or the Northwest, they make that much harder versus if you were living like places like South Carolina or Louisiana or some places like in the Ozark, where you could probably start your own business and you don't necessarily have to leverage yourself so hard. But my concern is that the powers that being, the ruling class, they know your reptilian logic, and that's what you're going to be striving for. I do think they know that human psychology is to withdraw, to try to wall yourself off, to try to pay off all the debts you have, and try your best not to engage with the outside world. I mean, it sucks, but that's why you see the rise of things like OnlyFans and dating online and pornography. It's because people are often people have become very especially people around our age and younger. They become very apprehensive and are kind of afraid of how people will perceive them. And me and you had a little bit of a light discussion prior to hitting the record button about these societal changes.
Oh yeah, I mean, I mean, that's what I was saying about doing it like slowly but surely. I know it would be difficult to kind of get out of that 9-to-5 routine, and but I still feel it's possible, and I think it's just a matter of just being, I guess, committed to it. and having a plan, because I think a big part of it is knowing that you're going to be working for a long time for nothing, or putting putting money in the forefront, putting some skin in the game on the front end, and because everybody wants that instant gratification, like you're saying. We have these OnlyFans, we have pornography, we're so used to getting what we want with an easy click of a button, and making your own way. It's not like that at all. It's not like you can just up and do something right away. It's really got to be
take
built.
time.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's kind of the approach that I'm taking, because I was kind of in that mindset too. It's like, well, it's like, it's not working. It's why am I not rich yet? And it's like, it's kind of like going to the gym. You can't expect to go to the gym for a couple months and expect to look like the Incredible Hulk.
Mhm.
It's got to be done piece by piece, day by day. And after a few years, you're gonna get to a lot closer to the physique that you want. And I would imagine, the same thing goes for, just anything else in life. If you want to learn a true skill, if you want to learn something very important that has a vast array of information, or, starting a business, I mean, that kind of thing, these are long-term commitments. So I think if you go in with that approach and that attitude, it's a little bit more, I guess, easier to swallow, or you could stick with it a little bit longer.
Yeah, that you're kind of echoing what I Am Serious used to say, my former co-host, that it's a discipline, just like MGTOW. MGTOW is a discipline too. Like if you're serious about going monk, well, you got to mean it. Like that takes a lot of systematic psychological changes to actually be disciplined on that type of level, whether it's going monk, whether it's saving money, starting a business, or going to the gym. Like these things are not easy to do, especially today where we kind of live in this hyper consumption, instant gratification type of society.
Yeah, amen. Absolutely.
So let's. I want to circle back because I sent you an article. I thought this was kind of in your wheelhouse. Now it's from Vice, so we have to take it with a grain of salt. No, we can't go too crazy. But when I saw this article, I thought of you, and I'm going to put show notes for all the listeners out there. It's the woman who thinks reducing the male population by 90% will solve everything. Now I'm not going to read all of it. And basically, she's called the Feminathist. She's a 22-year-old criminology student with a 3-year-old. She's come up with this concept called International Castration Day. She's posted some of her work on YouTube. And she's basically stating that if she reduces the male population by 90%, that will be the only true way where we can have equality.
Lots of luck, lady.
Right. So I'll read some of the parts here. And this is Vice doing the interview. And Vice asked, I assume the ratio refers to your belief the male population should be reduced to between by 90%. The feminine atheist says, I believe that conventional equality with a 50-50 male-to-male ratio is an inferior system. Essentially, my ideas lead to men being made a special class, a far more valued class, having choice of a myriad of women due to the differences in sex ratio. That is my intention. Men would be more valuable and their quality of life would be dramatically improved. They would have a subsidized existence, if you will, akin to going on an all-expense paid vacation that lasts from birth to death. Assuming people are, this is now Vice asking, assuming people are down for that, how could you reduce the male population by that much? Are you talking culling or selective breeding over years? She responds, obviously, men comprise a substantial portion of victims of violent crime and participate heavily in war. So there will always be deaths there, but certainly not culling. I don't advocate selective slaughter or brutal processes. So how would you achieve it? She responds, Further research into designer babies will be necessary. Manipulating gender or sex, parental sex discriminant, sex-selective abortions, development of dual female potency, progeny. Thank you. Babies created from two mothers and numerous other mechanisms will be utilized in order to achieve these aspirations. They won't be enforced or mandated to achieve the goal in the short term, but merely heavily encouraged in the early stages. Unless one opposes abortion, there's little ethical reason to find that too outrageous a proposition. The math has already been done on all of the genetic and population statement related issues. Sustainment. Oh, you're reading along with me. Thanks.
Yes. Absolutely.
Population bottleneck, inbreeding, mutations, etc. Everything works out in favor of my ideas. I've been meticulous and cautious. I've had the work reviewed by people who are experts, I love that word, or at least extremely knowledgeable in biology and genetics, and I've received confirmation that it all works out. So I'll pause right there, and then we'll get more into it. So now, again, this is in your wheelhouse. These topics we've discussed ad nauseum on this live stream in the MGTOW chats. We already know about the 80-20 rule. This woman is advocating for women to become part of harems and basically, you know, to be not hyperbolic, but this reminds me a little bit about like lions, like male lions, that the male lion just lays around, does nothing all day long, and that the female lions do everything. Is that what you're kind of seeing? What do you reckon what this 22-year-old criminologist has to fucking say?
Honestly, I was reading this article and just laughing because I just couldn't take any of this seriously. I'm like, I cannot actually believe what I'm reading. But if she is taking this seriously, I don't think this is going to work out at all how she thinks it is. Yeah.
Well, there's so many women that preach these type of concepts. You know, I was talking to one single mom, and I was telling her that the future is going to be polygamy, where it's going to be one guy who has like 5 or 6 women at his disposal, and he kind of just subsidizes these women. And the single mom said, you know, I don't think that sounds like a bad idea.
Well, that's technically, I guess you could say it's already happening, because you know it's either you are a guy who's really hitting the jackpot, or you're a guy who's just drawing up blanks. Usually, it's not as common to be like as in between there. But it more or less is happening essentially. The polygamy.
What if you now? Here's the thing. I don't know what your experiences have been internationally, but I'm sure you have a bit of a taste on your palate what nations are like that practice polygamy, and they're third world shitholes.
That is true.
Right? So it seems, here's the thing. I don't think, not that I think, I know women have no idea what the fuck they're talking about. Like she writes this, and there's a lot of other feminists who would, pontificate or build upon reading this article and what this woman has to write and what she has to say on her YouTube channel, but they never get into the weeds on what happens when you actually start approaching the topic of having such a small segment of the population being male, and then women just dominating everything else. And that's the other thing is that, okay, if you think that's a wonderful idea, you want to roll these ideas out in practice in one region of the globe. Well, there's a lot of other nations that are more or less, I guess, misogynist or patriarchal, that will just come over and steamroll you. This idea that the woman is a He-Man warrior, and she can, it's like she's got like a bow and arrow, and right. And again, this kind of all circles back, comes full swing to a lot of what you have discovered in mainstream culture, mainstream media, and in our culture, that this isn't real. You cannot do this. Even if you were to cull 90% of the male population, you're just going to have a bunch of other males from another neck of the woods just come and just devour you. Like the whole thing, like the conquistadors, they conquered South America just by getting rid of the guys, or the guys had to assimilate one way or another, and they just went around banging everything. You look at the Muslims. You look at jihad. What is he promising if you wage jihad? 21 virgins on 21 beds. Like, I don't necessarily think how women don't necessarily have a grasp on how much of a drive, of a sex drive men actually have, you know?
Oh yeah, I bingo, hit the nail on the head, because when I was reading this, I was like, lots of luck. I was just thinking about this myself. It's like, God forbid you run into any like real danger. Who is going to rescue you? I'm going to love to see that. I'm going to love to see that, and I think that they tend to forget like all the good things like men have done. It's like how we've come along technologically, and due in large part thanks to men. And, it's so easy to take that for granted because everybody does. So.
Well, do you think someone interviewed me recently, and he was stating, and I kind of was agreeing with him, that do you think we've kind of reached a point in the West where we're kind of looking to bring it all down and start anew? Like men have built this is. Have you read The Manipulated Man by Esther Villa? Have you heard of it?
Yeah, I've heard of it. I haven't actually read
So
it.
she was in one of the chapters, she's talking about men made the dishwasher for women. They made the washing machine, the dryer, various appliances, the vacuum cleaner, all these type of things to make life easier for her. Now she has so much free time that she can start writing articles such as these about destroying the whole system and building a new, so to speak, some type of rebirth. And I kind of agree with that, because if we're at the point in the United States where you have so much free time that you can actually start questioning your own biology, like, I think it's time that we're gonna have to unplug this fucking. It's time to pull the life plug off this thing.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me of some. It was like a meme that I read. It was like good strong men create good society and good times. Good times lead to like weak men, weak people, and that makes bad times. And then strong men get rooted up from the bad times. This just the cycle continues from there. So it's just kind of reminded me of that. And it's like, yeah, I mean, that's you hit the nail on the head, because our technology is so advanced, like I said, due in large part to men, that women have all this leisure time to just make man-hating,
to go lesbian
like this. Yeah, exactly.
They have enough free time to say, fuck you, you know what, I don't even want a guy, just give me a doggy and a vibrator.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. She's she might as well. I mean, she seems to be into that sort of thing anyway. I mean, she seems to be down on men so much. I mean, but damn, I was just like reading through this and just I just couldn't believe it. And I was like looking down what she said about slaves. It's like, oh, we're not going to treat them like slaves. We're just not going to pay them. It's like, how's that any different now? Oh my God.
Well, I'll keep reading here.
Okay, yeah.
That's in theory. What about in practice? It'll require that reteaching of everyone, female and male, in the classrooms, homes, through literature, media, art, and networks. It is a process that would take decades, generations, or perhaps even a few centuries. Nevertheless, these are things that should be done to forge a new and vastly superior world. My mission is to devise and describe a framework for carrying out and success of such objectives. Vice asks, what kind of men would you choose for breeding? Do you base selection on physical or mental characteristics? The most suitable men would simply be those who are fit in both body and mind. This is also related to genetic modification. Genetic engineering is already taking place by the way of tests given to couples when they marry to prevent the passing of dangerous genetic material. There is no doubt such concepts will expand as we understand more about how the genome actually works. Healthy and fit men will always be ideal, but not brutes, which has more to do with mental attributes than physical. Anyone can lift weights. Any criteria decided upon as a quintessential grade would have to be extensively defined and revised as time goes on, or as science advances in the human species and it needs to evolve. Okay, so I want to stop there. We're kind of like, is this Joseph Mengele shit going on? I mean, not just with this article, but what's been happening the last couple of years, the science. I was thinking about it. Have we really advanced all that much since like World War II? The only thing that's advanced since, let's say, the 50s has been computing power and computing processes, Moore's law, right? So just, your microchips get, more efficient. You use your external hard drive as an example. I have one external hard drive I bought 5 years ago. I can only fit, 500 gigabytes on it. I bought another external hard drive last year. It could fit 2 terabytes. So computing power is obviously evolving, but we're still using chemotherapy, and chemotherapy has been around since like the late 40s, 1950s to treat cancer. The so-called Fauci elixir, that's what I like to call it, isn't working. So we've trusted the science, and the science isn't necessarily working. We don't see nearly as many advancements in other parts of our lives other than computing power. And then if you look back between, I don't know, let's say like 1850 to World War II, there was obviously some serious great advancements: refrigeration, the automobile, flight, missiles, rockets, things like that. You went from burning coal to, petrol, diesel, gasoline, up to nuclear power. The invention of the computer obviously also came about. But again, since this malaise, where it's like, I guess you could kind of go back to like the hippie renaissance, the summer of love, we have not necessarily advanced all that much. What do you reckon?
I mean, I see where you're going. I mean, I guess,
we have sex robots now. Is that an advancement?
Actually, you know what? I would suggest that it is.
I kind of agree with you too at this point. I frowned upon the whole sex robot thing. Sandman and TFM have been on my show, and they're two big cheerleaders for the sex, the gynoid bots or whatever.
Yeah, I'd be down for that. I mean, look, that robot is not going to talk back to you. I mean, I can enumerate all kinds of positives with that. So, but I won't get into the weeds. I won't get into the weeds. That's a whole nother topic.
Yeah, and again, it seems like, I give her a lot of credit for a 22-year-old thought. She writes pretty good, and I get her visions and ideas, though, there's obviously some areas that are lacking, and again, it's Vice. Like you got to take Vice with a grain of salt. But it's so weird that we keep searching for utopia, and reality hits you, in the face so hard. Like you see a lot of these blue hives, like places like New York City, Seattle, Portland, LA, it's like where, okay, you're going to have the Pilates studio, okay, and you're going to do your brunch core, but in the back alleyway is some guy doing meth who's going to come out from a corner and basically rob you. It's just a lot of contradictions I see with a lot of these utopian progressive ideas. And this certainly is a utopian laptop class like article.
Oh yeah, I mean it's no different than anything else the left spews. Like they think something's a good idea, but in practice it's not gonna work. Turn out the way you planned. I mean take for example minimum wage and just any other bright ideas that left wingers have. It's but yeah, this is just taking it to a whole new extreme though.
Right. Oh, so keep going here.
Yeah.
Would men be kept in isolation like stud horses? She says, I believe we must remove men from the community and place them in their own specific sections of society, akin to subsidized or state-funded reservations, so they can be refined. We can not only make men safer, but women as well. By subsidizing said reservations through the state, we can provide men with activities, healthcare, entertainment, shelter, protection, and everything that one could ever require in life. This will remove conventional inequality from society. By reducing the number of men to 10% of the total population, their bio value will be raised. They will live out their lives happily and safely, and male disposability will be a thing of the past. But don't, Vice asks, but don't men have a value beyond breeding? If technology has not advanced to the point where labor can be done without men, the few men that are necessary for said labor will be allowed to work on the outside of the reservation to complete whatever task is necessary if they wish. Oh, you mean like installing a toilet? and running the fiber optic cable so you can fucking work from home, you fucking loser? Like slaves? Not as slaves. Simply as workers performing a duty in the same way workers today do, only without the need for monetary reimbursement. They would have no need for such thing. This would be highly monitored and regulated.
Oh, jeez.
Don't you feel in a way we're living through this?
It's like you're almost getting your reality, lady. I mean, but of course she's advocating for eugenics and what have you, but damn, I mean, you get a kick. I mean, I look at this like slaves, not as slaves. It says, and then later on, like next sentence, only without the need for monetary reimbursement. It's like, how is that not being a slave? Wait, what? Anyway.
Let me ask you, are there any female content creators you follow? Because I don't follow any, to be quite honest.
Female content creators, not that I really recall. I mean, I follow a lot of like fitness channels and like computer channels, and then other like MGTOW channels, but that's about it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, like I just can't take not to sound like a fucking an asshole, but I just can't take a lot of American women seriously. Just the level of like she's just straight up immature. Maybe she just wants to hear her own fucking hear herself speak, and she likes having someone interview them. But like, it's just so strange. I'll give you an example. I was supposed to have. I don't interview women ever on MGTOW chats. No sodomites, no lady boys, and no women. That's the golden rule on MGTOW chats. And I was like going to break my own rule, and I'm sure I'm going to catch some flack from my guys. I was going to interview this woman from California who does a podcast called The Incel Project. And I was researching her podcast. I listened to a few of her shows and some of her articles and her tweets. And I see a lot of the flack that she was getting because she was kind of like defending the incel crowd, and she was kind of sympathizing with a lot of these fucking losers. And I reached out to her. I said, hey, listen, you got a really good podcast. Here's a few of my articles on the topic of man related issues. I hope you like them. Let me know. We can set up a date or time. Okay. She gets back to me. She's like, okay, let's do a show this Friday night, whatever it was. I was like, okay. Flakes on me about a half hour before the show. I was like, hey, it's okay. It happens. It's not like you're the first person that bailed on doing a live stream or a podcast. Let's rebook it. Let's do it sometime in the near future. How does, I forgot, maybe next Saturday or whatever it was. I forgot at the time what I had asked her. But anyway, I rescheduled it with her. Flakes again a half hour before the show. And I was like, you know what? get fucked. I'm not asking you ever again. I'm going back to MGTOW 101. No women allowed on the show. You've reinforced my position not to have any women on my stream. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, I'm venting here, right?
Sure,
I was just so fucking pissed because all you did was prove me wrong. Prove me right. Sorry.
Yeah, you're right before. I actually stand corrected. I do follow. I just remembered one female content creator that I follow. Her name is Melanie King.
Bitch. What's her name?
Melanie King.
Okay. She's on YouTube?
Yes, she's on YouTube.
Melody, like a song?
No, Melanie.
Melanie.
Yeah. I actually just that was a recent one. I was just drawing a blank. But yeah, she talks I mean, she advocates for men and dating, and really kind of presents a view that most girls don't typically hear. So
there's just no balance anymore. And not for nothing, I think a lot of the MGTOW guys are kind of just stating reality, stating the obvious truth about specific sex-related issues, gender norms. But when you start even questioning the role of gender, like even like that, by the way, your name, ignore gender. I mean, I don't know what gender you think you're identifying with here. Okay, Vinny, like, okay, what are you trying to say right now? Why, who's the ignored gender?
Right.
I'm Caesar. So
exactly. Yeah.
Like even the concept of gender. Okay, you're saying gender is a social construct. Okay, here's a little boy, here's a little girl, here's a Tonka truck, and here's a doll. Let's see which one the little girl's going to go to and which one the little boy's going to go to. Is that a gender construct? You clearly see what the little girl's going to do, and you see what the little boy's going to do. That wasn't society. I didn't shove Christian values down some fucking 3-year-old's throat, did I? No. So obviously, this is not a social construct.
Yeah, I totally agree, and that's something that I've mentioned on a few of my videos. It's like, men and women are different, and there's nothing wrong with that, and there's a lot of reasons for things, but it just seems like society just like if anything is masculine in any way, it just gets demonized. They're just deemed as bad characteristics, and anything that's feminine is considered good. In fact, the other article that you had sent me was the one about like men aren't expressing their emotions, and they were stating that like a problem, and I'm like, it's like men have other more serious issues than that. It's like, what about divorce law, reproductive rights, things of that nature. And people who say that I'm a feminist, I care about men's issues, and it's like the only thing they ever say is, because men don't express their feelings, and they're not in touch with their feminine side, which is kind of ironic because these are the same people who, if they go onto one of my videos, they'll do the code blue shaming tactic and say, oh, boo-hoo, what are you crying about for? So it's like, pick your poison.
Well, women hate guys that show emotion.
And
that's global. I remember I was like getting all teary-eyed with my ex-girlfriend about something something serious had happened to us, and she got so mad at me because I was showing a little bit of emotion. She, I was showing that I was really upset, man. I was, getting teary-eyed and stuff, and she was like, "Don't you fucking dare cry." I'm like, "Oh shit, sorry." Like I can't be emotional about this. Like I can't like. Women get so turned off when guys tell them about their problems, and that's not healthy. And this kind of coincides with this whole hyper masculine Chad, I don't need no woman kind of a thing. You see a lot of this in the African American culture, where the black men they can't show their true colors at all. They have to be this fucking macho bullshit because women hate it. Women hate guys that show any type of emotion. I remember growing up, like being an Italian, I like to talk with my hands a lot, often. I like to get emotional when I'm having a conversation. And I remember like women saying, "Are you gay? Are you gay?" I'm like, you know what? I won't say a fucking word. How's that? You know?
Yeah, I mean that's why I think it's important for like men to have friends, because you can level with another guy, you can be true with another guy, and it's like if you find a guy who's a true friend, it's like you could really confide in that person. You know what I mean? Like a true best friend. So it's a little bit different, and so it's you got to be Mr. Macho Man in front of the girl, put on that kind of a show. Otherwise, yeah, as you experienced, you're gonna get shit canned for it, as far as you're gonna not hear the end of it. But yeah, I mean, having good friends is, I think, very important for guys to have.
But here's the caveat, Manny. If you're only emotional with your friends, with your guy friends, you know what that leads to, right?
No.
Homosexuality.
I don't think so.
I was reading a book by Heinrich Himmler. Obviously you're not allowed to talk about Heinrich Himmler in any of the sense, especially on YouTube. But I actually did read his book about homosexual behavior, and he was equating that if guys only hang around guys, it tends to lead towards, again, going gay. And he was giving examples, really good examples in society, where this would start happening and how this would happen. And he mentioned the Catholic Church, even back in the 30s. He was saying how the Jesuits are all, Jesuit priests are all gay because all they do is hang around guys all day long. And he was also explaining how it's not healthy for men and women to be segregated. You're supposed to mix the two sexes, let them get to know one another, let them experience how the other opposite sex reacts to certain things. I know a lot of my guy friends who have been quite successful with women, they have had sisters, and then the guys who have not been so successful with women didn't have sisters. And I see, and the same goes for women. I see women where it's like 3 or 4 sisters, no men in the house. They don't necessarily know how to interact with guys. So I definitely see a lot of that. And, that's just my own 2 cents on the topic. It's kind of a different, looking at things through a different prism. But again, we're talking about showing emotion. When you're on a date or something, you're kind of just a woman's soundboard. Yes, doggies are good. I like avocado toast too. Oh, you're going to Santorini, Greece. That sounds wonderful. Tell me more about it. It's never about you and what you want or what your aspirations and dreams are. A lot of women always ask, like, I want a guy who's, is motivated and has his shit together. Well, you didn't even ask him if he has his shit together. You haven't even, there's no inquiring. There's no doing your due diligence on this guy. The last woman I hooked up with, she didn't even ask my last name, dude. Didn't even ask what my last name was, and here she is in my bed. You know what I mean? It's like, and I'm thinking about this, and I'm like, this woman, this young woman, just fornicated with me. She doesn't even know my fucking last name. And it kind of go in a lot of ways. It kind of ties in with this article that you're just a disposable fucking donkey, to be put in for breeding for a dick, a walking dildo that spews fucking attention and diamonds.
I know that is how we're seen today. It's a damn shame, I tell you. I mean, but let me just pull up the article here real quick.
Yeah, we'll wrap up the article and we'll blast through this real quick. Hang on,
Okay. Oh, where do we leave off at the?
Hang on, we are at after slaves. Oh, what about the ambitions of the individual? Some men may aspire to more than luxury breeding pens. She says some would argue it would be a dystopian world because it wouldn't be free in the present of conventional sense. However, that is misguided. It will be utopian because it will be a world almost without conflict where people cooperate and are treated properly within a well-engineered and long-forged system. If everything is great for almost everyone, the point is null. Survival and socio-organic well-being are the most important elements in life. Diversity of principles and standards is only necessary in the world of multiple nations, cultures, societies, and religions due to fear of oppression. So how would this world any better? How would this world, that's a typo. So how is this world any better? Okay, because some people have potential opportunities to do certain things. That's kind of depressing. She says, the purpose of living is merely to persist and perpetuate our species. If someone is willing to give you all you require to survive and live comfortably simply because you exist, then you have already achieved all that truly matters. You know, it's kind of like the behavioral sink, the rat utopia, mice utopia. I don't know if you're familiar with that experiment. Oh, it's fantastic. I'll definitely send you some literature on it. It's something that I've studied ad nauseum, and I'm in the middle of writing 2 articles about it. It's so to kind of give you a bird's eye view on what the experiment was. This scientist in the 50s up until like the early 70s built these pens full of rats where there was no external threats. It was perfect temperature, ample amount of food, and there are a lot of like, you know, mice toys in this like pen. And there was a population boom, and then the population collapsed. So it was a mice utopia experiment. And what had happened was that the males rats wound up being gay and going their own way, where they were they were called the beautiful ones, where all they did was focus on their fur, on their coat. So they were constantly preening and cleaning themselves. They would eat and kind of like scurry off in the corner. And the female mice would get, you know, banged by like the Chad, like this overly aggressive mice / rat. And eventually, like all the other, and there was a bunch of betas, and then these betas would try to bang the female rat, and she was just overly, you know, just constant cock in her face to the point where she was unable to nurture for her babies, and the babies eventually died, and the whole rat utopia, mice utopia collapsed, depopulation to the point where they all died, like straight up every single one of them died. And he did this, I think, 3 or 4 times, and every single time this had happened where, again, the betas kept, you know, distracting the females. There was this over aggressive male that was trying to protect her, and this over aggressive male just kept going around banging all of them, you know, beating up the betas. And then there was a whole other segment of the male population that kind of did their own thing or wound up going gay. It's fascinating because she is talking about utopia, but there is no utopia. Like, even if you were to roll these things out, you know, idle hands are the work of the devil, so to speak. And eventually I would have reckoned that the females that live in this type of society would wind up, you know, fighting one another. You know, you keep talking about how, I remember in middle school, some of my teachers would say there'd be world peace if the world was run by women. I don't know about that. Do you know anything about Queen Elizabeth and Hillary Clinton? Or Helen of Troy is another great example, or Cleopatra.
Exactly. Oh my God. I'm sorry. That rat experiment. You got to send me that, because I'd be interested in seeing more details on that.
Oh, it's fantastic. There's a few YouTube videos on it. Some actual footage of the mice utopia, and I do actually have the study. It cost a pretty penny, but I wanted to read it, and there's some other scientists that have kind of built upon it. You know, during that time in America, scientists were kind of just running rogue shot, where they're like, you know, like doing all crazy type of experiments is through like the Ford Foundation and Rockefeller Foundation. In fact, I think this one was funded by the Rockefeller Foundation. And it's weird because I do think where we are today, is because of a lot of these socio-scientific experiments that were done between like 1950 and like 1970. I truly believe that, just going by where we are today and shit. If you know anything about like the whole hippie movement, and you see how that was well-crafted social engineering to try to push the United States in another direction. And it certainly has pushed us in quite a crazy direction, especially with the sexes, with like women's liberation. I was mentioning Dr. E. Michael Jones to you. He always points out the fact that isn't it weird how we had women's liberation and 3 years later there was the credit card? Like it's no secret. This was
No
not
coincidence.
this was not by chance. This was all orchestrated from the very top.
Oh yeah, I definitely don't doubt that. That's a good point though. Yeah, 3 years later is the credit card.
Yeah, for sure. Women wound up in the workforce. You just like, there is obviously a nefarious agenda at this, and we won't get into that on this show. We could do that another time. But again, it's a Vice article. Again, I put it in the show notes for the guys. It's interesting just to see what the powers that being put out for the normie to read, and this article certainly is one of those things. You know.
Sure.
So, hey, listen. Do you have any future plans for your channel? What do you got cooking on the stove going forward? Are we going to start seeing some classic content on your channel in the near future?
Oh, for sure. So what I have planned next is it's going to be a little bit more religious. The next video, I'm going to talk about how men's issues led me to rethink Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to do a couple of videos in the future just to redo ones that kind of got blocked, like that got copyright issues. I'm going to try to work around the copyright and sort of redo those videos entirely. So I had one on objectification and the types of men who are part of the problem, like the Simpsons, that kind of thing. And I'll have more Misandry in the Media as I collect more ads and stuff like that. And I also want to go over a few like classic TV shows, kind of like what we were talking about before, like any misandric moments from shows like TGIF, Step by Step, that kind of thing, Home Improvement maybe, and I got some. I'm learning how to edit my audio with Audacity. So I'm going to really up my game and get better quality content as well. And, so I'm excited for that as well. And let's see, I just bought a pop filter for my microphone, and I'll be doing some, just better audio editing. Cause that was like my biggest problem with my previous videos is like my voice was, either too high or too low.
It's because you were screaming at the commercial.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. In the early ones. Oh yeah.
I was great. I love it. I loved it.
Oh yeah, and looking back, I kind of liked it because I knew what I was going for. I was going for that AV Gen style. So some people got that, other people like didn't, and they really thought I was that pissed off about it. I mean, it bothered me, but it like not really to that degree, But nevertheless, I do want to not blow anybody's eardrum out, and definitely up my audio game for sure. So
like before the end of the night, we were talking a little about the whole religious aspect of things, and you said that you're agnostic, but not an atheist. And I think me and you, for the most part, sound quite similar, or come from the same. I think our ideas on what religion we're coming from the same point of view. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? I had one guy interview me last week. He seemed pretty religious, and he's like, "Oh, so Lamprey, are you taking the God pill?" And I'm like, well, let's slow down, one step at a time. I mentioned that my former co-host, he's written theses on the concept of God and, you know, the Muslim faith. And, you know, he definitely showed me a certain light that I never had seen before. And I definitely respect him for it. And it definitely gave me a better view. My personal view on religion is I think it's important. I think it should be in every guy's life. Don't necessarily you can't if you were to find God, would it be God? No. And there's a lot of things where we kind of live in this reality where you have to touch it, feel it, taste it, smell it, hear it. That's not what religion is. And I think that's an important aspect that a lot of people have to realize. I think a lot of guys in the manosphere and in the red pill community, they're very pragmatic, to the point where there's no bending. It's just break. Like, it's either this or nothing, and there's no in between. And you can't necessarily look at religion through that prism. So that's just my own 2 cents.
I mean, that's exactly right. And, I mean, of course, I can get into more, and I will go into more detail on the next video that I'll do. But basically, the skinny of it is, it's like I've kind of revamped my view on God. Because in my atheist days, I always thought we were supposed to think of God as like being like part of this universe. I literally thought we were supposed to think of him as an invisible being in the sky that's watching over us. But, I'm thinking, it's like, no, by definition, he's supposed to be transcendent. So he's not of this universe.
Right.
So he's beyond it. And I've come up with an analogy to kind of conceptualize God better. And I liken him to an author, where we're the characters and the universe is the setting of the story. And of course he's not going to be here because he's writing the story, so to speak, and I guess the character of Jesus is God writing himself into the story, so to speak. And I mentioned to you before we got on the chat some Christian apologists that I follow, like Inspiring Philosophy and Fuel Project, and they addressed certain aspects or they address certain atheist objections that I used to have, and they gave some pretty satisfying answers. Nothing that necessarily convinced me to join the faith necessarily, but just something for me to chew on and to rethink my stance and have more of an open mind. And when I got more into politics, thanks to watching Bernard Chapin's content, I took it upon myself to study history more, namely the history of Western civilization, because I remember going to school, I really wasn't into history or anything like that. But when I took it upon myself to learn about it, I came to realize, oh my God, Christianity is such an important part of our history and our culture, and a lot of my values and my views align with Christian values. And it was just very interesting to discover all this, and so so I do plan to make a video going more into detail about how I went from soup to nuts, from creating a channel about men's issues of all things to rethinking about Christianity. So
you mentioned Bernard Chapin. I got to interview him before he terminated everything off the internet. That's pretty cool. You mentioned Bernard. I had a lot of fun doing a chat with him. It's so sad that he no longer does content. He got out of it right at the perfect time. Circling back to religion, not talking about Bernard, but here's the thing. Everything that we know, again, looking at the world without the rosy-colored normie glasses on, you see how much social engineering's going on. You see some of the things that our ruling class is doing. Amazon's new headquarters in Alexandria, Virginia. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but they're creating the Tower of Babel as their headquarters. And I remember showing that to someone who was very religious growing up, and now he went atheist. I showed him that, and you just see the look of fear just come over his face. I go, yeah, that's what they're building. You still think this is all a fucking game? You still think this is all a joke? You see how much inversion and subversion is going on in the United States. It made me take a step back and realize that, hey, you know what? Maybe there's something in the Bible that is very important that we should start taking notes of, because I've always viewed the Bible as a manual for human beings. I think that's a really good way of looking at it. A lot of atheists, there's this one fucking tool bag. I'm going to get his name for you. Enron, I think his name is. He's just like this metal rocker who's
Aaron Ra.
Yeah, he's a fucking piece of shit. Fuck him, you fucking asshole. Sorry.
Oh no, I did you see? He did a debate with the Inspiring Philosophy, and he was a total jerk.
Oh, dude, really? Get out of
Yes.
here.
Yeah,
I'm gonna type that in. Ron. And what's the guy's name?
Aaron Ra and Inspiring Philosophy. And they were like, I think they were at a restaurant. They were just sitting at a table. They were doing like a public debate.
Oh, that's great, dude. I'm definitely gonna. Oh, I got it. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, this Aaron Ra, I get where he's coming from, but he's so pretentious and so egotistical that I have to write him off as a complete loss. Furthermore, look at his political leanings. Like, I would take you more seriously if you weren't preaching the social justice woke pause line. And again, you see people that are not religious, who don't necessarily believe in God, they tend to gravitate towards things like statism and communism and socialism and things like that. Where, okay, you don't believe in God, okay, so who's giving you rights? Who's giving you the go ahead to live your life? Oh, other human beings, the government, kings, queens, etc., that are telling you what is okay and what's not okay, versus going by some of the basic fundamentals in Christianity.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and that's one of the things. One of the more compelling arguments is the moral law, that there's a higher law. There's stuff that no human being has a right to do to you. There are things that even the person of the highest power, kings, can't do to you. And and I do believe in a higher law, an objective morality, and a lot of this of my political beliefs also in line with the Christian beliefs too. And I agree 100%.
Are you a Nazi, dude? Are you some type of fascist?
That's what the left will definitely say to you.
It's the point where if you say no to something, you're automatically labeled a Nazi. My brother was fighting with two lesbians recently, and they called him a fascist. And my brother's like, "Really? I'm an economic model?" It's like, is that where you're calling me right now? Do you have any idea what the term fascism is? Like, my brother's not even all that, articulate or whatever, but he knows he's like, fascism's like, that's like merger of state and corporate powers. Oh, kind of like that vaccine you got from Pfizer.
Exactly.
It's great. Well, listen, man, I won't keep you on any longer. I really appreciate you coming on.
It's been a blast. I
had a lot of fun. Have you done live streams or interviews like this before?
I have. I actually did an interview with A Voice for Men, like back in the day, I think like in 2012. And I think a couple of years ago, I was on with Christy Misty and Sid on his Rock Mystery channel as well.
Oh, that's cool. So I did a chat with Paul Elam also. I've had all the heavy hitters on except for Stardust. He's the last one I haven't interviewed. I actually have no idea how to contact them. But listen, you're one of those people I always wanted to chat with. You were a big inspiration of mine as far as my MGTOW content goes. Those videos again were classic. The one with the Doritos, that might be my favorite. And listen, I don't know if you covered, digressing for a moment, regarding the Doritos one. Did you see the one for the 2016 election with the elephant with the white guy in the office?
I did. In fact, I actually covered that in one of my Misandry In The Medias. I forget which one though, but it's there. It was like
so hard to believe. It's I'll never eat a Dorito
so on the
again.
nose. It is so on the nose, and it's like, how could you not see that? That what they're trying to show you there? An elephant of all animals. Come on.
And you know what the scary thing is? After I saw that, I was like, Doritos might be fucking poison. See what that's I go to that level. I'm like, you know what? Fuck that shit. That might be if you eat Doritos, you understand Doritos is so genetically modified that like when you start eating them, you want to eat the whole bag. That's because they put so many different type of chemicals. They know the concoction they can make to force people to eat this to the point of of nausea. And again, it's a publicly traded company. I think it's Frito-Lay that owns Doritos, publicly traded company. Okay, so it's not necessarily about feeding you, it's about profit and profit driven. So you already see the obesity epidemic. You see how inexpensive Doritos are. You see so many overweight people eating, Lay's potato chips, Doritos, and things like that. And then I saw that commercial, knowing all this before seeing that commercial, I was like, man, for all I know, it's pure poison, and they're trying to fucking kill you with Doritos,
Oh yeah, all those hyper palatable foods are just dangerous. Once you pop, you can't stop it. It's like even in the slogan of some of these things,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's great, man. Oh, listen, Vinny, again, appreciate it. I got your email. Let's definitely keep in touch. Maybe we can do something with Sandman, or if IM wants to come on, we'll do a chat with the whole lot, and we can discuss various Manosphere related topics, man. All right.
Oh, definitely. Sounds great. And thanks again for having me on. It was really fun.
Hey, Vinny, again, keep in touch. Don't be a stranger. All right. You have a great night.
For sure. You as well.
All right. Take care.
Take care.
Dancing down the street with your sway blue eyes. Every new boy that you meet, he doesn't know the real surprise. Here she comes again when she's dancing beneath the starry sky. She'll make you feel. Here she comes again when she's dancing beneath the starry sky. Like the way she dips. She's my best friend's girl. She's my best friend's girl. But she used to be mine. You got your nuclear boots and your drip dry glove. Here she comes again when she's dancing beneath the starry sky. Yeah, I make you feel. Here she comes again when she's dancing beneath the starry sky. Here she comes again. I kinda like the way she skips. 'Cause she's my best friend's girl. She's my best friend's girl. And she used to be mine. She's so fine. Dancing down the street with your suede blue eyes.